Hey everybody, today is January 12th, and today we're going to talk about the price of Bitcoin. Two major developments, right? Obviously, in the last video, we talked about the death cross that's coming up soon within the next day or two over here and over here, right? And that's usually a bad sign. That's a bearish sign, right? And the second thing is the dollar. The dollar is starting to collapse right now, which is something that's really good for the price of Bitcoin, right? Because Bitcoin and the dollar are inversely correlated. So the question is, what's going to happen? Is the death cross going to be a bad sign that we're going to see pull more of a drawdown down to perhaps 30,000, or is the dollar going to come in and be weaker and help Bitcoin bulls push up the price up higher and reclaim our important level of 52,000, right? Or at least 47,000. This is Fibonacci level and also the 200-day moving average was blue line, right? So the question is, which is going to happen? And before we dive in, please read the disclaimer and you can pause this video as you read it. Okay, so again, in our last video, we talked about how there's a death cross coming up, and it looks like it's going to cross within the next day or two. And usually a death cross is bad, right? A death cross is when you have the 50-day moving average crossing the 200-day moving average, and that's in this chart, it's the silver line crossing the blue line. And when the price remains below this while it's crossing, that's usually a bad sign that we will continue down lower, right? Until the bulls come in to reverse the trend, right? And we look at that, if we look at what we are now, the price action, it's looking very similar to what we had right here, right? When we had the cross, and we're still below when the cross is going to happen, right? At least for now. I mean, yes, within the next 48 hours, we could see the price rip up higher. It is possible, and I'll tell you why next, right? But for now, we have to, as long as it's below, we have to give the benefit of the doubt to the bears that this is still, we're still in a bearish pattern. Now, it is possible that we have bottomed over here, and I'll tell you later why it's possible, but for now, when we look at technical analysis, we have to give benefit of the doubt to whatever the price action is telling us, and the price action is telling us that we are still in a downtrend, right? We're still making lower highs and lower lows, even though the market is rallying right now. It is possible this could end up being a fake out, like over here, right? It could end up being a higher low a higher low along the way down, right? So here, and here, higher lows along the way down. So just because it's pumping right now doesn't necessarily mean it's the bottom, although I will say that I am convinced that it could possibly be a bottom, right? And the second reason is that the dollar right now is coming down. We talked about this, how the dollar is really important in predicting where the price of Bitcoin may be going, right? We talked about in multiple videos in the past how the dollar tends to be inversely correlated with Bitcoin, right? We just look at here, right? We saw this pump on November 10th. We saw the strong rally in the dollar. Well, look at what happened with Bitcoin, right? November 10th was over here. That's when we had this huge red candle, which basically ignited the start of this drawdown, right? So since the dollar has been strong and remained in elevated levels, Bitcoin has basically been in a downtrend for the last two plus months, right? So now that we're seeing the dollar pretty much fail to hold this level, right? And we can zoom out into the weekly chart and also the monthly chart. So this is looking very bad in terms of like what's good for Bitcoin, but it's looking for bad for the dollar because we failed to break above here, which is the 2017 high. We failed to break above the 2020 high. So we're basically in the dollar, for now at least, we're making lower highs, right? So this is a bearish trend and perhaps a descending triangle if the dollar comes down to, if the dollar comes down to retest this support level, right? Maybe we'll see something like this, a drop in the value of the dollar. So the dollar possibly, if it continues down, can continue down and potentially retest the support level around 90. If it fails to hold 90, it will likely break down. And that's going to be really great for Bitcoin, right? Because when the dollar is weak, Bitcoin is very strong. So, and Bitcoin has been consolidating basically for a year now. You know, like the price of Bitcoin right now is very similar to the price that Bitcoin was back in February, or it is pretty much the same. So for almost a year, it's basically been at the same price, give or take, right? Obviously, we've basically been ranging between 30 and 60,000, right? So the question is, can we finally put out a bottom with the weakness of dollar? Can the bulls find momentum to push up higher, right? Now, I did make a post the other day how we have a death. So this was on January 11th, which is yesterday, right? I talked about how there's a death cross and well, Bitcoin crash was going to fake out the bears with a pump, right? Personally, I said I've closed my short positions and I'll be waiting to see what the market does. If 45,000 is reclaimed, we'll look for longs. If 45,000 is rejected, we'll look for shorts. Now, something happened after I put this post out, which is the dollar, right? The dollar has just started collapsing, and because of this, I have taken small long positions in certain coins that's not Bitcoin, but just certain altcoins, which I feel like are undervalued right now and have a great potential future for this year and going on forward. So I've taken some long. So I just want to just disclose that I've taken some long position, some long positions in small altcoins that I believe will outperform Bitcoin and perhaps even Ethereum going to the rest of the year. And the reason I did that is that I did not expect this to happen. I thought we would consolidate more and then choose a direction, but we just had a sudden plunge. So I thought that this weakness would be great. And so far, and I bought that last night. So yeah, so far those coins are doing very well, as is Bitcoin as well, right? So we're seeing a nice little rally, but at the same time, we do have some resistance levels that we need to break through. Like I said in this post, in general, overall, yes, 45,000 is an important level, right? 45,000 is right below here where we had this a bunch of support over here, which we broke below. And once we break above 45,000, I'm looking for this Fibonacci level right here, which is 47,000. And that's going to be a major resistance level. That's going to be hard to break through because we spent so much time right here back in February, and we broke below here back in May. And then, of course, in September, we spent a lot of time, August and September, consolidating around this area. And of course, we spent some time consolidating in December, and we failed to hold this level, and that's why we plunged even further in the beginning, earlier this year, right? Just a couple of sessions ago, early January. And now we're trying to come back up and see if we can break through this resistance level. So there's several key points, right? 45,000, 47,000, and of course now you have the 200-day moving average is 48,000, right? But more realistically, I would just say like 50,000. If Bitcoin can get above 50,000, and what I'm looking for in the long term, which is 52,000, that's when I would start looking for aggressive long position. If you haven't bought some down here, then I would wait to see, because the last thing you want to do is buy while this is breaking out, and then this ends up making a higher low, right, along the way down, like a higher low. And it's continuing the downtrend, right? That's the last thing you want to do is get faked out like people got faked out over here, and thinking this was a breakout to 60,000, but of course it got rejected right at 52,000. So Bitcoin can come up, consolidate, hold this level, and then break above 52,000. That's when I'm going to be looking for more aggressive long positions. Like I said, full disclosure, I did take some small long positions on some altcoins over the last 24 hours due to the dollar breaking down. But of course, I'm taking more risks than maybe you should. You should always, of course, not financial advice, but you should always think about your own risk tolerance and see if you're willing to, try to front run a potential move up. But yeah, I'll have to see whether or not we can break above 45,000 or even above 50,000, 47 to 50,000, right? Because if we get rejected, then of course, going to have to sell some of those positions. But for now, I am anticipating, as long as the dollar continues to be weak and continues to go down, which it is right now, I mean, we should just assume that the Bitcoin bulls are going to find more strength and momentum and confidence really to take aggressive long position to push the price back up. So of course we're going to have to see, and if that is the case, then this could potentially be the bottom, right? And that would be great because it coincides with the bottom that we had back in September. And this is great too, because we talked about in a previous post how in the macro term, in the weekly chart, we're starting to see a year-long ascending triangle, sort of like this, right? Same resistance level around 65 to 70,000, but of course coming down here and forming an ascending triangle with these higher lows, right? And that's important. I talked about in a previous video is if Bitcoin didn't hold 40,000, right? We did wick below slightly. We did wick below slightly, below 40,000, down to like 39. But that ended up, at least for now, being a bear trap, right? We'll have to see if this comes down and goes down even lower. But for now, this is a bear trap. But the good thing is, of course, this is higher lows, right? And so the ascending triangle is still intact, right? Until we break and break below 40,000. So for now, if the dollar can continue to go down and Bitcoin can find strength, we can potentially fulfill this ascending triangle and break out higher going into the remainder of the year, up to all-time highs, perhaps above 100,000, right? Which is something everyone is looking for. And just to end this video on a positive note, if you look at the past of Bitcoin, when Bitcoin has these ascending triangles, right, over here, where we hit the same resistance level, but we do end up making higher lows, right? It tends to break out massively, right? That's one. Here's another one, right? Breakout. And of course, we have multiple ascending triangles in 2017, 2016, another one here, and a bunch of them. And if you want to look at like the macro term, like, you know what I mean? sort of like that. Another one here. So perhaps this is another one that we're forming right now, a year-long ascending triangle, right? So ascending triangles tend to be good setups to take long positions in. Of course, we're talking about the macro, bigger picture, right? But yeah, overall, as long as Bitcoin defends 40,000, I remain cautiously optimistic. If we can break above, if we can continue to rally, if the dollar continues to be weak and allow Bitcoin's bulls more breathing room to take more aggressive long positions, we could perhaps nullify this death cross that's coming up, right? If we can continue to up higher as it crosses, then that's going to move that's going to pull the moving averages towards a more bullish posture as the price continues to rise up higher. And for sure, I'm looking 50,000 to 42,000 for me to take more aggressive long positions. But for now, I'm taking a stab at some smaller positions just because the dollar is weak, right? But yeah, so of course, you want to be careful when you're trading, especially with leverage, right? Just in case this ends up being another one of these where it fakes out. Right, it makes another higher low along the way down. So anyways, just trade carefully. This could potentially be the bottom. If we can continue up higher and reclaim at least 50,000, I'm looking for 52,000. But just keep in mind that this could end up being a higher low if it is rejected at 45,000 to 50,000, right? So we'll definitely have to update you going forward, and we'll see how the price action develops. We'll see if we can break above 45, 47, or 50,000 around this level, right? This Fibonacci level within the next couple days. And if not, we'll have to start thinking about potential shorting opportunities. But if it does break above, we could potentially have put in a bottom at 40,000, and we'll see if we can continue up higher and break out of this this midterm downtrend that's lasted for over 2 months now. So thank you for watching this video. If you found it helpful, useful, informative, please like this video, leave a comment below, and subscribe for updates. Appreciate all your support. Thank you again, and have a great day.